Have you ever stopped to think about what might be hiding right under your feet? While we walk the streets, there's an entire world beneath the surface that defies logic, engineering, and even imagination. Some of these places were created for protection, others to hide, and some simply to exist, even in the most extreme corners of the planet. Get ready to discover 20 incredible and real underground places that prove humanity can transform even the impossible into concrete, steel, and mystery. Imagine a city capable of housing over 20,000 people, built entirely underground. Derinkuyu isn't just a tunnel or shelter, it's a true subterranean metropolis, with schools, churches, storehouses, and even stables carved directly into the region's soft volcanic rock. Dating back to the 8th century BCE, this archaeological marvel served as refuge from invasions and religious wars. Its corridors descend up to 280 feet deep and connect with other underground cities through narrow tunnels, some so tight you can only pass through by crouching. Today, parts of Derinkuyu are open to visitors, but much of the underground network remains a mystery. With tunnels that haven't yet been fully mapped, you think you live somewhere hot? In Kuber Pedi, temperatures easily surpass 113 degrees Fahrenheit. The residents' solution? Build their homes, hotels, churches, and even museums, all underground. Known as the opal capital of the world, the town emerged from mining excavations but transformed into something unique, a functional, active city inside the earth. About 60% of the population lives in dugouts, artificial caves carved into the hills. The temperature remains stable, even in the scorching desert heat. The town is so unusual that it served as a filming location for Mad Max and Red Planet. In the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains exists a place that seems straight out of a sci-fi script, Mount Weather. Officially, it's an emergency operations center, but rumors and leaked documents suggest it's much more. Built during the Cold War, this underground base is completely self-sufficient, with its own water supply, power, and food, ready to house U.S. government officials in case of disaster. Very few images have been released, and access is highly restricted. If you've ever seen doomsday movies with politicians hiding in secret bunkers, it's because Mount Weather actually exists. At first glance, Zikov Castle looks like an ordinary, medieval fortress, but there's something bizarre hidden beneath its walls, a network of underground tunnels built during the Cold War, in secret, beneath a 13th century castle. These tunnels would serve as shelter for Czech military operations in case of nuclear attack. Curiously, the castle was already considered an energetic site by the ancients, and there are reports of strange phenomena, equipment that fails, voices that appear from nowhere, and sensors that go haywire underground. It's a place where medieval history and nuclear paranoia collide, literally. Have you ever heard a train pass by, but it never arrived? Aldwych Station, in London's Underground, is a place frozen in time. Opened in 1907 and closed in 1994, it became the setting for urban legends, film shoots, and shelter during World War II. Its tunnels are used for secret security tests, recordings, and even night tours for the brave. It still preserves posters from the 1940s on its walls, as if someone had left in a hurry and never returned. It's a piece of history hidden beneath Londoners' feet, and few know of its existence. For centuries, Naours was a medieval underground city used by locals to hide during wars. But what few knew is that more than 2,000 World War I soldiers used the caves as shelter and left records of their passage on the walls. Over 1,800 inscriptions with names, dates, and moving messages have been found, transforming the site into a living museum of emotions frozen in time. The Naours caves extend more than 2 miles, with preserved chapels, ovens, and rooms. Today, they're open to the public, but they maintain that silence that only places with deep memories carry. Do you know the deepest point humans have ever reached on Earth? It's not an ocean abyss. It's a hole, an artificial hole drilled in. The former Soviet Union. The Kola super deep borehole was a scientific experiment that went more than 7.5 miles below the surface, breaking through rock layers that had never been touched. But the project was abandoned in 1995, and to this day, the site is surrounded by strange stories. Some claim bizarre noises came from the bottom of the well. Others say scientists went mad upon hearing sounds from hell. Conspiracy theories aside, the hole is real and remains the deepest ever made by humanity. A place where the walls literally whisper. The Chapel of Bones was built in the 16th century by Franciscan monks, aiming to remind visitors of life's ephemerality. They used the bones of more than 5,000 people to decorate columns, walls, and ceilings. "We bones that are here await yours," says the inscription at the entrance. And it's not a metaphor. Skulls and femurs compose a macabre yet fascinating architecture. It's a dark temple, but full of history and symbolism. A reminder that even in death, humans build. At almost 15.5 miles long, Laerdal is the world's longest road tunnel. But it's not just its length that impresses. It was designed to keep drivers alert, with psychological rest areas every 4 miles, illuminated with blue and golden lights that simulate sunrise. Driving through it is like entering a sci-fi setting. The rock walls, illuminated in blue, create a visual effect from another planet. Built to avoid dangerous mountain crossings during Norwegian winters, the tunnel is an example of how engineering and empathy can meet, even underground. Hidden inside a massive mountain and shielded against nuclear explosions, the Cheyenne Mountain complex is one of the most impressive fortresses of the Cold War. Inside, there's a truly self-sufficient city. Generators, hospitals, command centers, and dormitories protected by 25-ton steel doors. Even today, it serves as a strategic backup for the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, ready to operate even in case of global catastrophes. It's as if a spy movie bunker had been built and kept operational until today. During the Prohibition in the 1920s, the underground of Moose Jaw became smugglers' paradise. Gangs operated illegal bars, escape routes, and hideouts in a network of secret tunnels, many connecting downtown buildings. Local legends say even Al Capone passed through there. Before that, the tunnels were also used by Chinese immigrants to live in hiding, in precarious conditions, fleeing persecution. Today, the tunnels are part of an interactive museum that revives this dark and clandestine past, literally below the surface of the quiet Canada we know. If the world ended today, where would our next plants come from? The answer lies in the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, an underground fortress built to preserve seed samples of practically all known agricultural species. Built in the permafrost of a remote Arctic island, the vault is proof against war, earthquakes, and even climate change, designed to last thousands of years. It's like humanity's genetic bank, where each grain is a guarantee for the future. Built on Berlin's rubble after World War II, the artificial hill of Teufelsberg hides something even more curious. A former NSA listening station used to spy on the Soviet bloc during the Cold War. The spherical antennas and abandoned corridors resemble an alien laboratory. But what's most intriguing is what's below. Bunkers and tunnels that nobody knows exactly how far they go. Today, the site has become an alternative tourist attraction and urban art gallery, with the past spied from above and art hidden below. You enter a mine, and suddenly, you're in a cathedral? The Wieliczka salt mine is one of the oldest in the world, active since the 13th century, and houses, in the depths of the earth, hand-carved halls, underground lakes, and even a chapel with chandeliers made of salt crystals. With more than 185 miles of tunnels, you can walk for hours through this surreal gallery where everything, absolutely everything, is made of salt. As impressive as any royal castle, but hidden underground. A masterpiece of human patience. Instead of building tunnels, the town of Setenil built its houses taking advantage of the rock itself. Literally embedded under an immense cliff, the houses have natural walls and stone ceilings that seem to crush the narrow streets. The result is a village that looks more like a movie set, where shadow, rock, and architecture blend as if they had always been one and the same. More than a town, Setenil is a living example of how humans learn to adapt, even where nature completely dominates the space. Officially, it's a modern naval base. Unofficially, one of the most ambitious underground military complexes on the planet. Hidden beneath the tropical island of Hainan in southern China, there's a network of tunnels capable of hiding entire nuclear submarines, away from satellite eyes. Access to the base is extremely restricted, but it symbolizes a new type of warfare, one that happens off the maps, beneath the ocean, out of sight. Have you ever been to an underground mall? That's 2,500 years old? On Kish Island, one of Iran's most modern tourist zones, lies a complex of ancient tunnels transformed into an art gallery, commerce center, and tourist attraction. Called the underground city of Kariz. It was originally excavated as a Qanat system, Persian aqueduct, but today has become a futuristic and cultural attraction. It's the past repurposed creatively. And underground. Imagine an amusement park, 400 feet underground. Salina Turda is an ancient salt mine that has completely reinvented itself. Inside, you'll find a Ferris wheel, bowling alley, mini-golf, and even a lake where you can go boating. The mine dates back to the 17th century, but its revitalization has transformed the space into something that seems out of a futuristic game, with scenic lighting, floating wooden structures, and platforms that defy logic. More than tourism, Salina Turda is an example of how forgotten places can be reinvented, with style. In the 1960s, fear of nuclear war led China to dig a secret city beneath its capital. The project was so large, it received the nickname Dixio, Cheng, or Underground City. It supposedly has more than 53 miles of tunnels, with hospitals, schools, dormitories, and camouflaged exits in Beijing's neighborhoods. Despite having been opened to the public for a short period, much of the structure remains closed, and some say it continues to be used in strategic government operations. It's a secret metropolis that many city residents don't even imagine exists. It's not a bunker or a military base. IceCube is a scientific observatory buried 1.5 miles below the Antarctic ice, built to detect neutrinos, invisible particles that constantly traverse the universe and our planet. To do this, more than 5,000 sensors were installed in Antarctica's eternal ice, forming a detection matrix that occupies a massive volume. It's as if it were a telescope pointed inside the planet, in one of the most inhospitable places on Earth. These places show that beneath our feet exists a world that defies the rules of logic and geography. From armored bunkers to cathedrals carved in salt, from secret military bases to cities sculpted in caves, humanity has gone far, literally downward. Exploring these places is like opening doors to parallel realities. They don't appear in common tourist guides, but they carry stories that remind us of our capacity to survive, adapt, and create, even in the depths of the Earth. If you enjoyed this underground journey, there's much more coming. Because where there's ground, there might be a hidden world.